Today, we're looking at Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon is more of a blue, but I kind of think of it as a blue-black kind of ink. It's a blue, but it looks like it should be blue-black to me. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib to take my notes for this video. Now before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done, and what we see is a very light blue that immediately pushes up the page, a darker blue, and what seems to be either an incredibly dark blue or maybe some black across the top. But I believe, honestly, it's just a really dark blue. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And that blue across the bottom leaves a very distinct line, showing us that we should have some resistance for this ink. Now then we do get the light blue and the much darker blues across the top. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it would be to clean from your pens. I let my smear dry for 3 days before testing it. The highlighter, it does not do well. Please don't use this in a note-taking situation if it's important. And if it's not important, stop writing it down, but don't highlight this ink. Water reactivates but does not remove a ton of this ink. It seems to have quite a bit of hold on with that blue. Now, Pen Flush did less than water did, which I have seen a couple of times before, but it shows me as a little worrisome idea. I'm wondering if this is supposed to have some permanence that they just don't maybe tell us about. Bleach is ripping it from the page. It's, damaging some of the paper. It's leaving some of the yellow staining behind. Water seemed to have done more than flush. I'm hoping water's all it would take. I fear that you might have to do the quick run of bleach and then start flushing that out to get all of this ink out of your pen. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon has a viscosity of 1.81, making it a wetter, much wetter, but wetter ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon, man, they have some long names, has an average dry time of 13 seconds, making it very normal despite how wet this ink was. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form. And I don't like these bottles. I've basically decided on my revisiting through, I don't like them. No, sir. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. And what is this filthy mess? This is the filthy mess that those sample vials are going to create for you. Now, their bottles are supposed to be much better. They're a lot like the Noodler's bottles. But I'm a sampler. I get all my inks, really from samples. Yes, I do buy some bottles, some. I probably have way too many bottles of ink. But primarily, I go for samples. And this is the mess their sample bottles create. To where after I finish all of my Birmingham samples, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get their newer inks because I just don't want to deal with that mess anymore. I didn't spill on me. That's me putting the plastic cap back in. Let's look at Clairefontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It does offer some nice shading. Beautiful shading with the 1.1, very light to very dark. Again, with the Grandview, look at all that shading that's going on. It's beautiful. Beautiful with the 1.1. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade with the extra fine.
at all. It's gone. Gone. 8 seconds to dry. Medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade at all. 14 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed us we weren't going to get any color variation. We didn't. The smear test says you likely can't recover it. So Tomoe River. No bleeding. Yes, we get ghosting. It's Tomoe River. It's not the ink's fault. It's the paper's fault. And that's just because it's so thin. It's actually the only thing I like about this paper is how thin it is. Excuse me while I get a sip of water here. Thank you. And if you actually waited for that, thank you. I don't blame the inks when they do this on this paper. It's the paper. I like how thin it is. I wish somehow they could make it to where it didn't show everything through. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It's a really neat looking blue-black. I think they have it listed as like a blue. I see it as a blue-black. It's just how it reminds me of some of the older blue-blacks. It's very nice as a tone. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 11 seconds to dry. Noticeably darker tone with the medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 20 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any. And the smear, you can't recover it because you wrote on Tomoe River paper. Because you wrote on Tomoe River. Alright. Rhodia, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It does give that lovely blue-black color. I'm going to keep calling it a blue-black because it really looks like that to me. Although it is, yes, a darker blue. Nice dusty color. Very old school looking. Beautiful as a tone. Extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 9 seconds to dry. When I wrote with this with a Himalaya, which is a flexi pen, I didn't expect to get color variation. I didn't. I got a very, very dark blue. That old blue-black. It's nice. The medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. 17 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows us no color variations. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear test, I'm not sure that you could recover it. So what happens with this when we put it onto a gray paper? The G-Lalo, it's a laid paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread. No halo, no sheen, and no shade. Slightly darker tone for the extra fine. More in person than on camera. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 5 seconds to dry, super fast. Medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, and 9 seconds to dry. The scrubby showed us we're not getting any color variation. We didn't. The smear, you're probably not going to recover it. So sometimes inks do some interesting things on tracing paper, and I put this onto tracing paper. Now the tracing paper gave us no bleeding. Of course it gave us show through. It's tracing paper, silly. The 1.1, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, but look at that lovely blue that's happening here. We're really seeing that blue. Beautiful blue right there. Beautiful. And I know sometimes I describe inks as dusty and I don't care for them, but I like this dusty blue here. This is very nice. The extra fine and noticeably darker tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 8 seconds to dry. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It's 13 seconds to dry. It is a noticeably darker tone than the extra fine. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear, if you smear it, it's lost. And this is Apica paper, one of my favorites. It has no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread. It does give us little bits of haloing with the 1.1 on Apica. This is the first haloing we've seen with this ink. No sheen and no shade. Extra fine. Little darker tone. Little bit darker. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. And we get the beginnings of some shade on the K in quick. The B in brown. The L is darker than the A, which is lighter than the Y. Nice. The T starts lighter and gets darker to the HE of the. Beautiful. here. Beautiful. I wish it could do this all the time. Very gentle shading. It's not tremendous, but it's gentle and it's elegant, and it's very nice. 6 seconds to dry. The medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Back to no shade, 10 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine did not show as much color variation as we got in the writing. The scrubby of the medium showed us none. We didn't get any. The smear test says, I believe you could recover this if you did smear it, and that's all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. And I've chosen Noodler's Antietam because it is a great red to brown. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Birmingham Pen Company's Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon? It's such a dark blue. It reminds me of some of the older blue blacks that would be out there without some of the great qualities that a blue black can have. Everything says it should be blue, but what I see when I write is black. And it makes me uninterested. I'd have to pass on this one. Thanks for watching.